Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka. On today's show, Bitcoin spikes as Fed skips the rate cut. No hurry, despite Trump demand. Also, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Senator Cynthia Lummis pushes for U.S. for a decisive action. Also on today's show, Tesla revalues Bitcoin holdings under new accounting rules, reports $600 million gains in quarter four. Also, the head of the Czech Republic Central Bank proposes investing 5% of the country's reserves into Bitcoin. Woohoo! And our feature story today, the Fed, banks now able to serve crypto customers, BTC up to 3%. And later on in our Ask AI segment, we're going to compare Chat GPT versus Grok in real-time news information. All this and so much more on today's show. Welcome, Crypto Fam, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka, and Bitcoin's a pumping today after the scare of a couple days ago with the DeepSeek AI, which crippled markets. Bitcoin and the entire crypto industry is back in the green today quite a bit. We've got NVIDIA going the opposite way. Last I checked, it was down 8%. So it dropped over 10%, then the following day gained 8% and now back down. I presume the dip is going to continue because there's not going to be much need for the NVIDIA video cards anymore. Certainly there will be, but not as predicted previously. Historically, the AIs are using these NVIDIA video cards and they're purchasing millions of these things, and now maybe they won't need millions, maybe they'll just need thousands. Interesting. We'll see how that plays out for NVIDIA. A lot of people dumping that stock. Right now we're going to get into our market watch and our Bitcoin technical analysis, and as we see, the biddy, she is a pumping in the green. And Bitcoin currently up at $104,165, up 2.18% for the day. Ethereum up almost 1% at $31.45. XRP up 0.5%, $3.10. Solana up 3.5% at $234. Doge up 1% at 32 cents. Let's check out the crypto bubbles for today, and almost everything in the green. XCN, which had lost quite a bit in the previous days, is up 30%. Fartcoin up 17%. JTO up 12%. Hype up 14%. SPX 8%. IOTA up 4.5%. Almost 90-something% in the green. Zooming out on the weekly, we have XCN as the big winner, up 190% for the week. Move up 18%. Most things bleeding red for the week. And if we zoom out further for the month, it's about a 50-50 mix. We've got huge gains compared to everything else for the XCN, 1,386% for the month. Let's get into our crypto market cap, and we've got Bitcoin up to $2.065 trillion. Ethereum at $378 billion. XRP up to $178 billion. Huge increase with XRP the past couple of days. Solana holding steady at $114 billion. Doge at 49 billion make it. Cardano 33.5 billion, and Tron to wrap up the top 10 at $21 billion. And the total market dominance is $3.46 trillion for the entire crypto market right now. We've got Bitcoin up to 59.7% of the total crypto market. Ethereum down in the tens now to 10.94% of the total crypto market. XRP holding steady at 5.17%, and Solana also holding steady at 3.3%. If we get into our crypto fear and greed index, we have a 70 in greed today. Yesterday was a 72, and last week was a 75 in greed. And we have approximately 1,000 days, I would call it about 1,100, to the next Bitcoin halving. There's 168,574 blocks until the halving in 2028. And until the final block is mined in the year 2140, there are 1,183,044 Bitcoin left to mine till we reach that magical 21 million number. Into our market cap by company globally, and we've got gold at holding steady at 18.6 trillion, Apple at 3.6 trillion, Microsoft 3.3, Nvidia 3 even, Amazon 2.5 trillion, Google 2.4 trillion, good old Bitcoin 2.056 trillion, Saudi Aramco 1.8 trillion, silver 1.78, Meta 1.7, and Tesla number 11 at 1.25 trillion. And you can currently get 956 Satoshis for one US fiat paper crap. Let's check out our US debt clock. And up approximately 3.5 to 4 billion from yesterday, currently at 36,414,230,000,000. That equals to $107,051 per U.S. citizen and $323,046 per U.S. taxpayer. So the debt clock keeps a running. What we're going to do later on is we've been trying many things with our AI models. Yesterday we put DeepSeek to the test, and it did not compare. It was crap. It came up with information that was completely invalid, not even close to what we asked it. And good old reliable Grok, good old reliable Chat GPT came back with the exact information we actually asked for. So they were the big winners. Today we are going to put them to the test, and we're going to try and find out some real-time news information. So we're going to compare ChatGPT versus Grok for that. And right now, let's get into our top stories for the day. We have Bitcoin spiking. This is the reason it's up today, as Feds skip the rate cut. No hurry despite Trump demand. We do not need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said on Wednesday as Bitcoin bounced around. The Fed Reserve left its benchmark interest rate unchanged Wednesday, hitting the pause button on its easing campaign after delivering 3 interest rate cuts in a row. And Bitcoin appeared to fall sharply at first before spiking to a 3-day high. The decision, which was widely expected among Fed future traders, kept the federal funds rate target at 4.25% to 4.5%. When the Fed began easing monetary policy in September, its benchmark interest was a full percentage point higher, hovering at a 23-year high. That recalibration or policy stance was appropriate in light of the progress on inflation and the rebalancing in the labor market. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said, "We do not need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance." Let's check out the Bitcoin price through the dip in the day here. But currently she's up to almost 104,000. When the Fed started lowering interest rates, a move that typically bodes well for risk assets like stocks and crypto, the U.S. central bank signaled that supporting the labor market through lowering borrowing costs had become a bigger priority than subduing cooling inflation. At its December meeting, however, policymakers adopted a relatively cautious outlook. Amid signs of strength in the U.S. economy, the Fed signaled that the upside risk to its inflation outlook had increased along a newly elected wild card in the White House. Under President Trump, policymakers feared that the bringing inflation down to its 2% goal could become more challenging, citing potential shifts in immigration and trade policy. Since then, Trump's administration had weighed a gradual approach to so-called universal tariffs, according to media reports. At the Fed's December meeting, policies makers foresaw just 0.25% cuts this year, down from 4 they had projected in September. On Wednesday, the U.S. Central Bank did not release the new economic or monetary policy projections, and the Fed said that the economic outlook is uncertain in a written statement. The price of Bitcoin dipped following Wednesday's decision, falling to 101,000 from 103 in less than half an hour. But soon after, the price of Bitcoin spiked, currently sitting at around 103.8, the highest price since Sunday. The Fed's decision to forego rate cuts this month follows pressure from Trump last week. At the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, Trump promised to demand lower interest rates, per the Associated Press. Powell declined to comment on what Trump said last week during a press conference, explaining it wouldn't be appropriate for me to do. He added that he's had no contact with the president since he took office recently. Inflation has come down significantly since peaking at 9.1% in 2022, but it still clocked in at 2.9% in the 12 months through December, according to a government snapshot released earlier this month. Still, the print helped calm inflation jitters following a blowout jobs report. It's interesting. Inflation is at 2.9%. Interesting. Peaked at 9.1. Isn't North America and the whole world really complaining that the inflation's still high and the grocery store prices are insanely high? It's just a little suspect. Is the dollar losing that much value that you can't buy that much at the supermarket? Is it the debasing of the currency, the constant money printing? I do know for a fact, we've covered this before, that approximately 10% of your value in your dollar is reduced every year with all this money printing. So 9.1% inflation, but now it's 2.9. I have a hard time believing that. I think it's skewed. They're going to come back one day and say, oh, we made an error. It's actually 8% or some stupidity like that. Seems to happen all the time. Let's move on to our next story of the day. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Senator Cynthia Lummis, we love her, pushes U.S. for a decisive action. Senator Cynthia Lummis pushes the U.S. to take decisive action on adopting a strategic Bitcoin reserve ahead of the Czech Republic. The U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve has once again come in the focus of the Czech Republic as the Czech Republic prepares to adopt a BTC reserve. In the latest development, Senator Cynthia Lummis pushed the U.S. to take a decisive action on the Bitcoin reserve proposal ahead of the Czech Republic. Notably, Senator Lummis' Bitcoin reserve proposal has influenced countries across the world, with many initiating the creation of their own strategic Bitcoin reserves. Though the Central European country announced its plans to hold the Pioneer crypto in its reserve, the U.S. hasn't implemented the BTC reserve scheme. In her ex-post, Senator Lummis stressed the urgent need for the U.S. to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Reflecting on the Czech Republic's recent Bitcoin reserve proposal, Senator Lummis urged to the U.S. to become the first nation to embrace BTC reserve, she stated. Driven by Donald Trump's crypto-focused policies and Bitcoin strategies, several countries, including the Czech Republic, intend to adopt Bitcoin. Recently, the U.S. states of Arizona and Utah approved the bill for Bitcoin, moving forward with the progressive financial policy. In the similar news, the head of the Czech Republic Central Bank proposes investing 5% of the country's reserves in Bitcoin. The head of the Czech National Bank is reportedly proposing to invest 5% of the country's reserves in Bitcoin. In an interview with the Financial Times, Alaise Michel says he plans to propose a Bitcoin reserve strategy at the bank's 7-member board meeting on Thursday, tomorrow, which could make the first Western central bank to hold crypto. You're going to be late to the race, America. Michelle, see, these smaller countries, they can make decisions easier. There's forget the red tape. Admittedly, Trump could have just made an executive order to adopt Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. But instead, they went with a plan to look at and investigate if a Bitcoin reserve would be a good idea. And they have 180 days to go out, take a look, figure out if it's good or not. And furthermore, the word Bitcoin wasn't anywhere in there. It was a crypto reserve. Mikhail from Czech Republic says, if his pitch is approved, the bank can invest as much as 5% of its 140 billion euro reserves in Bitcoin. He believes the flagship crypto asset is an opportunity to increase the diversification of the country's investment portfolio and generate larger returns. Michelle points to the greater adoption of Bitcoin, such as the spot market exchange-traded funds, and recent pro-crypto actions by U.S. Donald Trump, who ordered a study of creating a national stockpile of digital assets. He notes that even without Trump's actions, he believes Bitcoin would still rise in value. For diversification of our assets, Bitcoin seems good. Those Trump guys can now kind of create some bubble for Bitcoin, but I think the trend will be an increase without those guys as well, because it's an alternative for more people. Michel acknowledges his viewpoint conflicts with other bankers, but he believes it will lead to a better performing investment portfolio. And I agree with that. Let's move on to our next story of the day. Tesla revalues Bitcoin holdings under new accounting rules. Reports $600 million gain in quarter four. The gains reflect a new accounting adjustment, lifting Tesla's reported digital asset value to $1,776 million from $184 million, so up almost 100%. Tesla reported a $600 million gain on its Bitcoin holding in the fourth quarter after adopting a new accounting rule that allows companies to value digital assets at market prices each quarter. The electric car maker's Bitcoin holdings stand at 11,500 Bitcoin, according to Arkham Intelligence data, with its value estimated at $1.19 billion based on current market prices. Tesla, however, did not disclose its Bitcoin holding in quarter four report, referring only to a $600 million mark-to-market gain on digital assets. Its gain reflects an accounting adjustment under new reporting rules, which raised Tesla's reported digital asset value to almost $1.1 billion from $184 million. The previously impaired value recorded under old accounting rules. The Financial Accounting Standards Board introduced the new rule update in December 2023, requiring companies to report digital assets at their fair market value rather than at their lowest recorded price since purchased. Tesla adopted the rule early, ahead of the 2025 deadline, which is required for all entities for fiscal years beginning after December 15th, 2024. Previously, Tesla could only report losses if Bitcoin price declined, but was now allowed to record gains unless the asset was sold. Under the new standard, companies can adjust crypto holdings to reflect market movements each quarter, bringing them in line with how stocks and other financials are valued. So, first of all, a little explanation here. The rules, the fair accounting rules have changed here. So it used to be that only the purchase amount could be reported in the crypto digital assets market, but now it appears that they can write down any gains or losses. So it is, as they said, it brings it in line with how stocks and other financial assets are valued. So, that's a really good step forward for the good old Biddy and the crypto market altogether. Tesla reported adjustment earnings per share of 73 cents, missing Wall Street's estimate of 78 cents, according to TipRank's data. Despite missing the earnings, Tesla's shares are up 4.5% in after-hour trading, up to $406 as investors react positively to Bitcoin reevaluation. Interesting. Whenever any company's talking about Bitcoin, look, they even missed the stock earnings per share 73 cents. They were expecting 78 cents. Normally when that happens, even if they were expecting 78 cents and they came in with 77, which happens a lot, 1 penny miss, the stock tanks, 8-9 times out of 10. However, in this case, they came in 5 cents shorter. So we're talking 8-9% or so lower, maybe close to even 10% lower than Wall Street's estimate. However, they also announced their Bitcoin, their crypto increase from 180 million to 1.1 billion, and the stock, she's a flying 4.5% in after hours trade. Very interesting and bullish. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla stock continues to bounce up just based on its Bitcoin representation and current holdings. So pretty interesting. I know they own a lot of Doge as well. So when they say digital earnings, they're talking about Bitcoin and Doge and any other shitcoin that they might own. Let's move on to the featured story of today. The Federal Reserve says banks are able to serve crypto customers up to 3%. This one's super interesting, and this was after they revoked that SAB 121 and invoked the 122 with an executive order this week, basically making it not illegal for banks to hold clients' Bitcoin. So let's see the details here. Bitcoin bounced after comments from U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell at the FOMC meeting signaled that banks are allowed to serve crypto clients. Crypto markets initially had a muted reaction for the Fed Open Market Committee's decision on Wednesday. Today, to keep interest rates unchanged, the Fed maintained its 4.25 to 4.5 federal funds rate, citing somewhat elevated inflation as analysts had predicted. Bitcoin edged up 0.5 minutes, 0.5% minutes after the Fed released its FOMC minutes. The uptrend accelerated to 3%, pushing BTC about 103,500 heading into the U.S. evening trading session. Responding to a crypto-related question, Powell stated that U.S. banks are perfectly able to serve crypto customers, providing they comply with risk disclosure requirements. He emphasized that debanking legally compliant customers is not Fed policy, addressing concerns related to the so-called Operation Choke Point 2.0. Great regulation on crypto would be helpful, Powell added. He also reiterated that the U.S. Central Bank cannot legally hold BTC, prompting Senator Cynthia Lummis to propose changing the law if necessary. Digital asset markets flipped green following Powell's remarks, while U.S. equity indices closed the day slightly in the red. Unchanged federal interest rates split sentiment between bulls and short-term bears. Bulls argue that Bitcoin could surge in February, as it has in 8 of the last 12 Februaries. They also speculated that President Trump's pro-crypto stance could provide additional support for BTC and the broader market. Bears, on the other hand, contended that static interest rates could deter new capital inflows into Bitcoin and related products such as Wall Street spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds, ETFs. Meanwhile, reports suggest that President Trump has encouraged Powell and the Fed to implement lower interest rates. However, Powell stated that he has no contact with Trump so far and did not comment on the rumored request. So, positive news for this schmuck to come out and say straight out that, yes, banks are allowed to hold up to 3%, and we have nothing to do. It used to be, the SEC spokes person. No. Banks can't do this. Choke point 2.0, SAB 121. No, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. And suddenly, Trump comes into office, and everything is now, sure, of course, yeah, you always could. It's just such FUD that they're pushing to citizens, sadly. But this is definitely for them to actually come out and answer this question openly and honestly is a step in the right direction, and definitely a good thing for our friend the Biddy. We're seeing things now with this Trump administration that we've never seen before for the Bitcoin and for the crypto market on the whole. If it weren't for the blip in the DeepSeek, video card or AI release scandal, maybe we'll call it, because I tested it yesterday and it's crap. But I'm also testing the smaller model. So leading into our Ask AI segment, today what we are going to do is we are going to go a little different direction, and what we're going to use as our prompt, we're going to compare, we're taking DeepSeek out of the picture because it was not up to snuff yesterday. It was not impressed at all. It was like a total failure. So instead, we're going back to our base models. We're going to use Grok, and we're going to use Chat GPT. Grok, of course, being Elon Musk's X integrated AI. You can get that on your phone as well, by the way, as a standalone app. And the same goes for ChatGPT. You can get it as a standalone app for your phone or for your computer in this case. And we are going to prompt, as per the Fed decision today, what percentage can banks allow customers to invest into Bitcoin? So effectively, the story we just ran, we're now going to ask ChatGPT and Grok the exact same question, and I'm curious to see what they come back with. So we've got both models set up here, and as we see, once again, the prompt, as per the Fed decision today, what percentage can banks allow customers to invest into Bitcoin? And we are going to hit go on both of them. I'm not really comparing the speed here, guys. I'm more comparing the answer. Grok's already done. We've got Chat GPT a little behind, and let's read what they both came back with. I'm curious because I want to know, if I ask it a question, how integrated is this AI with real-time news, real-time media? Not that we're going to ask this a lot, but it would be nice to know, do I have to put this and ask Google these questions, or can I get a accurate answer straight from these AIs? So the federal answer for Grok. The Federal Reserve decision announced today allows banks to serve crypto clients, but there was no specific mention of a percentage limit for customers' investments into Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. Instead, the focus was on banks being able to handle crypto-related activities under certain conditions related to risk management and compliance. However, there is information from posts on X suggesting that in 6 months, U.S. banking entities might be allowed to put up to 2% of their reserves into Bitcoin. U.S. banking entities, so the banks can put that in. This does not directly correlate to the percentage customers can invest, but it indicates a broader acceptance of Bitcoin in banking reserves. For direct customer investment percentages, no specific figure was outlined in the Fed's recent statement, focusing instead on compliance and risk management for crypto activities. Now, I think we read otherwise in our news article we just went through. Now, let's see what Chat GPT says. It's interesting, though. They gave us information that, I wasn't aware of. That in 6 months, the banks themselves may be able to put up to 2% of their reserves into Bitcoin, and that's huge. Let's move on to ChatGPT here. As of January 29, 2025, the Fed Reserve has not imposed specific percentage limits on how much banks can allow customers to invest in Bitcoin. However, recent regulatory developments have influenced how banks may facilitate customer investments in cryptocurrencies. Custody services. The Securities and Exchange Commission recently rescinded Staff Accounting Bulletin 121, SAB 121, which previously required banks to report custodied crypto assets as liabilities on their balance sheets. This change is expected to make it feasible for banks to offer cryptocurrency custody services, providing they comply with consumer protection and anti-laundering laws. Direct holdings. The Federal Reserve has indicated that it would presumptively prohibit member banks from holding most crypto assets, including Bitcoin and Ether, as principal assets on their balance sheets. This means banks are generally not allowed to own cryptocurrencies directly, but can offer custodial services to clients. While there is no explicit cap on the percentage of customer funds that can be invested in Bitcoin through the bank-facilitated services, banks are expected to implement robust risk management practices and ensure compliance with all relevant regulation when offering such services. All right. Recent regulatory developments in crypto. So I like this. ChatGPT maybe was a little off on their answer, but recent regulatory developments in cryptocurrency banking. So they have, three, marketwatch.com, FT.com, Barron's.com. But this was 5 days ago. So that's as quick as it could. So the information in ChatGPT is more accurate to the links they're giving down below. The links are 5 days old, and ChatGPT is referencing 2025, January 29th, obviously today. So in this case, I kind of prefer X's response in Grok. Both Grok and ChatGPT missed the mark a little bit. It could be that my prompt was not as detailed as it might have liked, but they did certainly come back, both of them, with a good, reasonable answer. They both elaborated a little bit on what the feds do allow, what they don't allow, and the future of banks and the future of banks with cryptocurrency. So I would give it about a 60-40 winner going to Grok. So good answers on both of them. It's a good outlook, and it's a good thing for Bitcoin if banks start custodying your Bitcoin for you. I would never trust them personally. You want your Bitcoin in cold storage. Um, but, it's something that maybe older customers, do you think an older customer would know how to open an account on an exchange, buy some crypto, then transfer it to a cold wallet, then hold it with their, phrase so they don't lose the password, and so on and so on? Maybe not, but are they able to walk into their bank and say, "Hi, I'd like you to hold my Bitcoin, or I'd like you to buy, this much Bitcoin for me, or I'd like to buy this much Bitcoin from you"? That for sure they know how to do. They've been doing it their whole lives. For the younger crowd, cold storage, that's where you want to go. It's safer. You only need to trust yourself with cold storage. And let me reiterate that only you are responsible for your passwords. And if you lose it, you're done for and you've lost your biddy. So if you're going to go that route, ensure that you know what you're doing. Start with a very small amount. Start with $5. Make sure the $5 transfers over fine. Confirm everything's well. If it is, transfer a few bucks more, and if that works, then you can go ahead and transfer your whole, complete holdings into cold storage. But when dealing with any kind of crypto trades, always start small. You can trade in any amount, so even $1, $2. Send what you don't care about, and make sure it's received on the other end, and only then go ahead and make a larger transfer. We're always talking about money here and making more money, and please remember, everyone, that money is abundant and money is everywhere. It is time that is scarce, and use your time wisely. Spend less money than you earn. If you suddenly make more money, save more money. Don't start spending more money. The younger you can start saving and investing, the better. And the idea is to retire when you're 40 in your prime, so you still have time to do all the things you might love to do or look forward to doing, and not when you're old and physically unable to do these things. If you have a great idea, start that idea today. Don't wait for tomorrow, because tomorrow might never come. Start today, even if you're not ready, and things will slowly come together. With a little bit of work every day, it will eventually compile and explode into this amazing thing that you've been dreaming about all this time. If you found this stream enjoyable, please, as always, share, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next stream, folks. Thank you so much for joining us here at Crypto News Global.